Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. In today's video, we're doing some French country Christmas thrift flips. For my first project, I'm going to be using this lovely round basket. As soon as I saw it, I thought it would make a perfect Christmas tree basket. My first step is to create a label for the basket. So I am cutting out some drop cloth, I'm making a small cut, and then I'm actually tearing that fabric because I love that jagged edge that it creates. If you have trouble doing the tearing part, you could cut it out as per normal and then you could use some sandpaper to distress back those edges. Once I have my label organized, I'm going to be using IOD's Merry and Bright stamp, and I'm going to use this design in the bottom left-hand corner. So I'm taking a little bit of plastic, I'm peeling off the stamp. This particular stamp actually has two parts, so I'm just making sure that I have those together. And then I'm using IOD's permanent black ink. I'm just dabbing that over there. I'm then being very careful to go in and tidy up any excess ink because I don't want that going on my fabric. I'm then going to position it where I want it to go and press down. You want to press harder on the fabric and you definitely want to use a bit more ink here because it does take a little bit more for it to soak into that fabric. Next, I'm going to focus on the basket itself. I'm pouring out a little bit of Dixie Belle's chocolate chalk mineral paint, and then I'm going to water it down to create a wash or a sort of stain. And then I'm going to apply it to my basket using a chip brush, and I'm also using a water mister. This is going to help my paint to spread and to help it get into all of those little nooks and crannies. I'm then taking a paper towel and I'm dabbing back some of the excess to show a little bit of that lighter tone underneath. And I'm going to continue adding that paint wash to the exterior of the basket first, using my mister to help spread it, dabbing off the excess. And then once I have the exterior of the basket painted, I am going to be moving on to the inside and repeating the same process. So I did use that chocolate chalk mineral paint for this. You could definitely take a spray can if this seems a little bit too tedious for you, and you could use a spray can to paint your basket instead. I just love the more natural look that this gives. So once it's dry, you can see here that it's turned into a lovely warm brown. I'm going to take some of Dixie Belle's Best Dang Wax in white and I'm applying it over the basket with a natural bristle brush, and then I'm wiping back the excess with a microfiber cloth. So this is going to tone that paint, it's going to give it a little bit of a whitewashed look as well, and it's also going to seal the basket as well. It was a little bit time consuming getting it into all those little grooves, but I think it was definitely worth it. I definitely love the way that this turned out. If you like this look but you don't have white wax, you could create a paint wash with a water-based paint in the color of your choice to do this instead. You could use a glaze, and if sealing with wax seems a little bit tedious to you, you could just seal this with a spray sealer instead. Next, I'm going to take this ribbon that I got from Spotlight Australia and I'm going to be wrapping it around the basket in the center. This is going to go behind our label. I love these beautiful colors. They feel very French country to me. So I'm just working out how much I need, and then I'm going to trim off the amount that I want. And once I've done that, I'm going to be applying this with hot glue. So I'm going to be gluing it down so that if I ever want to change this, I can just heat up that hot glue and I can take it off. So I'm just applying a strip of that hot glue at the back where our two pieces of ribbon meet. I'm pressing down my ribbon, and then I'm going to be adding a little bit more glue just to make sure it's secured in place. And then I'm also going to be putting another strip of glue so that we can attach our other piece. Once I have the other section glued down, I'm going to fold over that excess piece of ribbon, and then I'm going to glue that piece down. In folding it over, I feel like this gives it a much tidier, more finished look. I'm also then going to go around and add little dabs of glue here and there just to make sure that that ribbon's going to stay in place. Now that I have my ribbon in place, it's time to attach our label that we created. So again, I'm just going to be using that hot glue to secure it in place. It'll definitely be enough for the purpose of this basket. So I've just added a strip to the top. I'm smoothing that down, and then I'm going to add another strip to the bottom. And you can see I'm sort of pulling it and just trying to make sure that it's going to maintain that shape and be even. So I'm then going to add a little bit of glue on either side as well. And here's our finished Christmas tree basket. I love how this turned out. I feel like it was quite a plain basket before, and now it is perfect for a Christmas tree or any Christmas decorations really. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments. For my next project, I'm going to be giving this recipe book holder a makeover. Now this is already quite a sweet piece, but I'm not loving that love heart and I want to give it a festive touch. So I'm going to take this resin piece that I had in my stash. I will link the mold for that below. And I'm going to tape it down to my silicone mat with some masking tape. I have already done a demonstration on this previously, but we are going to be filling the center because I want to hide that little love heart behind this more attractive design. So I'm just taping that all down, and then I'm going to measure out part A and part B of my amazing casting resin. And once I have equal parts of those mixtures, I'm going to combine them, and then I'm going to be stirring them for about 30 seconds. To make pouring it a little bit easier, I do actually pour my mixture into a silicone cup instead. I find it easier to slow down the amount of resin coming out with these cups. So I'm pouring it into the center, and after 10 minutes you can see that I'm pulling it away, and now it did actually create a backing there, but it wasn't thick enough. So I'm going to put it back down. I'm going to measure out a little bit more of that resin, and it will be ready to go in 10 minutes. Here you can see that the center of my piece is filled, so we're going to glue it down over the heart with my Gorilla Super Glue Gel. Now I did a video quite some time ago showing how you could cover these hearts with an IOD frames mold. I will try and find it to link it up above as well. This is a great way to give those tired pieces that have those hearts and those stars a makeover. I'm then going to be casting these garlands from IOD's Oh Christmas Tree mold. This is definitely a favorite. Hopefully you're not sick of me using these yet. So I'm just using my thumb to push out the excess clay, and then you can see these are super detailed. There is a left and a right mold that you can use, so we're going to cast both of them. I'm going to be placing these garlands at the bottom, but I'm going to tear off the corner piece of our garland first so that we just have them meeting in the center. And then I'm also going to cast a little Belle mold. I will link this in the description below. And once I have that cast, I'm going to be putting that little Belle in the center where we have our garlands. I'm then going to use my Sealy's Quickset wood glue on the back of my castings, and I find this to be a really great way to adhere your molds. You don't need anything other than this. Wood glue works really well. Just a reminder that you can find a full product list in the description below, and most of these products on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. I then decided that I wanted to add some of those same little bells just in a larger scale up the top. I went into my stash and I did have a casting ready to go, so I've used Gorilla Super Glue to attach that up the top. The next day I came in with some of Dixie Belle's Buttercream Chalk Mineral Paint, and I'm going to be painting over the entire recipe holder except for the back. That's in really great condition. This is actually a pretty close color to the original paint that it always was, and I actually didn't mind the original paint. However, you could see a shadow of where maybe a recipe had been sitting for a long time. It was a little bit discolored. So I'm going to be adding 2 coats. I'm going to go over the top of my castings. They've been setting for about 24 hours, but I'm not going to go for full coverage. I actually really like the distressing that's already there. So my vision for this piece is definitely still to give it a festive touch. That's why we have the garlands and the bells, but I didn't want it to be too over the top. You could definitely go in with green and red, but I wanted to keep it pretty neutral. So once my paint is completely dry, I'm going to seal this with Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat. This is going to seal it all in, but it's also going to be a great base for our next few steps. Once the clear coat is dry, I'm going to be using some of Paint Couture's Crackle Medium. I'm using step 1 first. I'm going to be applying it to the entire front of this design. As I said, we're going for a sort of vintage look here, quite a weathered look, so I'm going to apply that. And then once I have that applied, you do need to let it dry, and you'll know that it's ready to move on to the next step when it feels tacky to the touch. I'm then going to come in with the Crackle step 2, and this is quite a bit thicker than the first step, so you definitely want to be gentle when you're applying this so that you don't disturb that product underneath. If you don't have Crackle Medium, IOD does have a Vintage Textures stamp with a Crackle stamp in it, so that's definitely a good option if you need an alternative. Once the crackle is dry, I'm going to be using Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze. I've just watered down some of that mixture, and I'm going to start applying it over the top of my crackle. Again, this is going to be very subtle. It may even look a little bit patchy, but that's okay. We are going for that vintage worn look. I am focusing on the details of our molds as well, and then I'm also using a wet wipe to come in and wipe back some of that excess so that it sits in that crackle and we get that tonal variation. So I'm going to continue adding that until I've got the entire front section covered. Something that I did want to mention to you guys that I'm really excited about is that I now have a Paint Couture affiliate link. So if you are going to grab some Paint Couture products that I've shown you today, I would love it if you would use that link. I just get a little thank you in return. If you're in Australia, however, you'll be able to grab these products from my website very soon. Once that glaze is completely dry, I'm going to take some of Paint Couture's Bronze Luxe Metallic, and I've just got a little bit on my brush, and I'm just going over the top of the castings that we added. And I'm not going for full coverage here. I want it to look like it's sort of gilding that's worn away over time. I'm also adding some of that bronze to the details on the bottom and a little bit on the edges of our recipe holder. And here's our finished festive recipe holder. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I feel like it looks like quite an old, worn piece now. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. For our final project today, I'm going to be giving this frame a makeover. I really love the detail on this frame. I feel like it's made out of resin and it's very detailed. So I'm going to go over the top of this with that Luxe Bronze Metallic, and I'm working it into all of the details. As I said, I really loved the pattern, but the black color was quite dinged up and it just did not look that great. So we're going to give it a refresh here. So I'm going to be applying one coat of this, letting it dry, and then I'll be coming in with a second coat, which will really fill in all of those details. Once I've applied 2 coats of that bronze paint and it's completely dried, I'm going to take a wet wipe and I'm going to work my way around the frame and do some wet distressing so I can bring back some of that black underneath, bring back some of those details and give it that old world worn look. I then decided that I wanted to age this a little bit further, so I'm taking some of Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze and I'm going to go over the top of the bronze paint. I'm going to work it into all of the details. This is going to give the bronze a tarnished, old and weathered look. I want this to look like an old frame, so I don't want it to look super shiny and perfect. So the glaze is definitely going to help achieve that look. And then once I've applied as much as I want, you can see that I'm going in with a wet wipe and dabbing back some of the excess. Once I'm finished applying the glaze, I'm going to focus on the artwork for the inside. So I've just got the little insert that came with the frame. I'm going to trace around it on some art paper, and then I'm going to cut out the size that I need. Once I've done that, I'm going to take IOD's Holly Glen transfer. This is one of their IOD Holiday Release transfers, and then I am going to cut out this beautiful deer. I felt like this was absolutely perfect for this frame. I'm taking the backing off and then I'm applying it to the art paper that we cut out. I am going to be losing some of the design over the edges because the paper is a little bit smaller, but that's okay. I'm running my transfer tool over the top of the design, and then I will pick a corner and I will start rubbing and lifting that plastic away. It's not going to be hard to get this down. These transfers love going onto paper, so you can see once I've got it started, it's very easy for me to pull that back. As this is going in a frame behind glass, I'm not going to be doing any sealing. You can see here that I'm just folding over any excess transfer over the sides. Now we need to add this to the frame, so I'm going to clean up the glass first. I'm wiping it, and then I'm using a paper towel to get rid of any moisture, and then I'm going to sit it in the frame itself. I'm going to put our artwork in the frame. I'm then going to put some of this backing back in, and then we're going to be done. And here's a look at the finished product. This was a quick and easy flip, and definitely something that you could do to make festive decor for your home or as gifts. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. I really hope that you've enjoyed today's video and that it's inspired you to give some of your thrifted finds a festive makeover. Let me know if you had a favorite project from today. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used today on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.